Bună ziua și bine v-am regăsit! Haideți să vă dau un scenariu. Să ne imaginăm că alegeți să mergeți să urmați o specializare. Vă alegeți universitatea. Visați cum urmează să terminați la acea specializare, să zicem medicină. Parcurgeți primul an, dați examene, reușiți să le dați, sunteți integraliști, treceți în anul 2, în anul 3, în anul 4 și în anul 5 se întâmplă ceva. Ceva legat nu de dumneavoastră, nu de faptul că ați descoperit dintr-o dată că nu vă place specializarea respectivă sau știu eu ce alt eveniment în familie, ci ceva legat de modul în care funcționează țara dumneavoastră, regimul politic din țara dumneavoastră. Și ajungeți în situația în care sunteți exmatriculat în anul 5 pe criterii politice. Reluați și mergeți la o altă universitate și pățiți exact același lucru în ultimul an. Și ajungeți la concluzia că singura cale pe care o puteți urma este cea a exilului. Să mergeți și să vă finalizați studiile în altă parte. Despre acest lucru vreau să vorbim astăzi. Despre ce înseamnă să fii student și să te bucuri că ajungi să-ți termini studiile, lucruri care nouă ni se par atât de normale și naturale. Dar pentru unii, aceste lucruri sunt privilegii și pe care le obțin cu extrem de multe dificultăți. Astăzi îl am invitat pe Elton Rivera Cruz, un student din Nicaragua, care ne va povesti despre experiența sa, despre ce înseamnă să fii de 3 ori student în anul terminal. Poate de data aceasta și sunt sigură că de data aceasta va reuși să finalizeze studiile. Hello and welcome to our live stream TV. How are you, first of all?
Mihaela, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure for me to be here today.
I will invite you in the beginning to tell us a little bit about your country, Nicaragua, because you come from Nicaragua. You are a student at the Faculty of Medicine in the last year, in the 5th year, or in the last year?
In the last year.
In the last year, perfect. So tell our audience more about your country. How will you describe it in a few sentences?
Well, if I must describe Nicaragua, I could use 3 words. The first one is beauty. It's a very beautiful country. We are a tropical weather. We have a lot of volcanoes, lakes. We have a Pacific coast and Caribbean coast. So I really love my country, so I can say that it's a very beautiful country. But I also can say that it's a country for battles. We have been a lot of battles around of our story and dreams. We are a very dreaming country. Our people is dreaming every day, trying to get the chance for change our country. So I think Nicaragua is a beauty, battle, and dreaming country.
So such a nice description, because we know that there were many struggles in Nicaragua from a political point of view, not only the regional context but also the internal aspects, because in your country it's a dictatorship actually right now, and it's not a very friendly country for its citizens, and we've been under dictatorship for many years, 30 and a little bit years ago. We managed to get out of that system, and we can recall the difficulties we faced during such a type of system, and this is where I want to go. 10 years student, still student. Every time in the last year you were expelled. So you needed to start all over again, and you started medicine, then you started political sciences, and now medicine again. And your main dream, because you talked a lot about dreams, was to finish school, to finish your studies. And you faced the same struggles, you said, the dreams and the struggles. The dream to finish the university and have your medical degree, but the struggles due to the political system. How you ended up to start so many times the university and be expelled in the last year? How you got there?
Well, this is the kind of thing that dictatorship do. That's the characteristic of dictator, attack the people who thinks different. So in 2018, in Nicaragua broke out a socio-political crisis. The government started attacking the people who were in the protest. So many students of medicine, even me, were trying to help to injure people in the streets. So after After that, the government said that the people who were helping the protester was against the government also.
So practically, you entered their attention because you tried to give medical assistance to people in need.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the government attacked us also, to medical students who were helping people in the street. So we decided to take a position in the protest. You know, maybe in the beginning we just was trying to help injure people, but after being victim and being attacked, we think we really need to do something against that dictatorship. So we start to participate in the protest with first aid assistance, but also as a protester too. So the government identified all of the opposition students or the students who were not supporting the dictatorship, made a list, and after expelled from the university of that student. But not just that. Actually, this is a very terrible situation, but it was worse because a lot of students were killed from the university for the
protests.
The protests, yeah, more than 350 people were killed by the government, including students. So people who was in the protest trying to help injured people who was protesting were killed by the government.
The protesters were getting help from the government for example, hospitals if they were injured or not? No,
that's the reason why the medical students decided to support the people in the street, because the government closed the hospital for attending people, for helping people who was injured in the protest. And also the paramedical forces who was trying to help people in the street were stopped by the police.
So practically they were left to die in the street.
Exactly. The people was dying in the street, and even if they get to go to the hospital, they die in the hospital because the government don't allow to attend people.
That's a crime. Yes. Actually, that is a crime.
That's a crime.
And
so
more than only killing the protesters or attacking them in a vile manner, it's denying them medical treatment. And this is something that even in battles you do.
Exactly.
And I think this is very interesting. And afterwards, you started to follow the courses of political science?
Yeah, so when we were expelled, we try a lot to go back to university for continue with our students, but it was impossible. It was completely impossible because actually we were not just expelled from the university. We are people in risk in Nicaragua, and we were in that time people in risk also. So the police was looking for us, trying to get a student and put in jail, and actually they did it. A lot of students were in jail during months or going into the exile. So I was in Nicaragua trying to find my opportunity to continue my medical studies, but I couldn't do it. So I get a chance in a private university to have a scholarship, but the career was just political science. Actually, it was my first option, but I wanted to study something. I started to study political science. I really like a lot the career, but in the end of the career, say the last year, the government confiscated a lot of universities in Nicaragua, including the university where I was studying, and the
so
government
you got
closed.
Expelled again?
I were expelled again, yes.
But at least it helped you more to understand more what was going on in your country from that point of view. Yeah. From Nicaragua, you went to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And afterwards in Europe, Romania.
Yeah.
Tell me, how is the life of a student asylum seeker?
Well, it's not easy. It is actually not easy. After the university was closed by the government started to looking for the authorities of that university. Mr. Adrián Mesa, he was the director of the university, was in the exile also. But the government started to investigate the people who was working with Mr. Adrián Mesa, trying to help another students, because the program in this university was for a student like me, a victim of repression. The government knew that, so decided to attack the university. So after the government started looking for Mr. Adrián Mesa, the rector of the university, started to investigate all the people who was working with the rector. again me, again me in the list. So I took the decision to go into exile because I was in higher risk. So I crossed the border from Nicaragua to Costa Rica in irregular immigration. I was looking for asylum in Costa Rica, but being in Costa Rica in April 2022, I get the chance here to come to study medicine in Romania. So I received the confirmation for my scholarship here. So it's not easy. It's not easy to be a student looking for asylum because we don't have in the mind just our life or our study. We have a lot of things in our mind. You know, we are people at risk. We are people we don't have any stable residence. We need to force ourselves to think that we need to continue studying, trying to imagine that anything is happening. But at the end of the day, everything is happening. So with our family, with our life, it's not just me. There are a lot of students in the same situation, or worse, because unless I have now the opportunity to continue studying here in Romania, but in Costa Rica, in Nicaragua, in other countries, there is a lot of exiled students who don't have the chance to continue their studies. So it's difficult for them. Actually, it's difficult for me being a student. Can you imagine how difficult it is for them who don't have the chance to continue with the career? They don't have a country now because they cannot come back. They don't have a stable residence, and they don't have studies. They don't have opportunities. So it's hard. It's a very sad situation for the young people in Nicaragua.
And even more difficult because for many of them, the government took the citizenship, and they are practically no longer citizens of Nicaragua. Yeah. So their situation at the international level is even more complex. And you arrived here at UMFST, and can you tell us how you feel here, how you like your life as a student at UMFST, from asylum seeker, now from Nicaragua to Costa Rica, and now here in our university. How do you find yourself here?
Everything in 1 year. In 1 year, I leave my country.
A complex year.
Yeah, exactly. I leave my country. I am looking for asylum, and I get a scholarship. So, in January the last year, I was in my country. Now I'm in Romania. So it has been a very good experience. The first thing that I really appreciate a lot is the freedom. I really feel free now. Worried about the problem in my country, but I feel very happy to have the opportunity to continue with my studies, and this is a good opportunity for new culture, new places. Romania is a very beautiful country. I like a lot, but also a new person, not just Romanian people, even people around the world, because this university is an international university. And we have here the chance to share with different cultures, hear different stories about the countries. So it's a chance not just for learning medicine, it's for learning culture and for learning how the world is working. It's not everything in Nicaragua. It's another country have similar problems, another country live like European countries in a better situation. And it's very interesting to have this chance. I really hope that another student from Nicaragua have the chance to study in Romania or in the European Union, because they're going to change their minds.
And their perceptions, of course, is not only the culture, but it's also the freedom they enjoy here, and a totally different social and political establishment. Exactly. And because you said that, and I know that you are involved with an association, and you said there are so many fellows of your colleagues of yours that do not have the chance to continue their studies, and they are in a very difficult situation because they are asylum seeker, but sometimes they don't even get the right to work in the country they are staying to seek asylum. Can you tell us more about your association and what are you trying to do for them?
Yeah. In Spanish, the name is Iniciativa Puentes por los Estudiantes de Nicaragua. We are an association who are trying to support students that have the same difficulties that I have, or worse. we are trying to get the chance for Nicaraguan student to find a new opportunity for continue their studies. So basically, what we do is take the cases of students who are looking for asylum or the student who have in a difficult situation, and try to help them for find a new universities in Europe, in Romania, or in another country, for they can continue their university studies. Basically, that's the most important activity that we do in our association. But we try to support in another lines, with support in humanitarian assistance or some advocacy also for the situation in Nicaragua. But yeah, most of the time we are working, trying to find new opportunities, new university for students who are looking for a chance to continue their studies.
And I know that you are doing a lot of advocacy at the European Union, and you are trying to raise awareness for these students and for their situation, and also to help identify solutions from this point of view. I will ask you, for example, one last question. I think it's important for our students because and for our audience, because we are talking about what is happening in the region, and certain times there is much miscontent about the European Union and what the European Union does, and it's a lot of critique there. They are saying that there is not enough freedom, that the European Union is not doing enough, maybe embracing Russian propaganda and everything. What would you tell these people that are trying and are so unhappy about this system? You seeing things from a very different perspective. What would you tell them?
Well, I think and I respect a lot the freedom of thinking and the freedom of speech. I think each people have the right to think in the way they are living the things. Maybe they feel that something is wrong in the European Union or their countries, and it's okay if they have reasons. But in my experience, I could share my experience. I said, if you can criticize, if you can use your freedom of speech, if you can say that the European Union is a war system or is a bad system, but continue in your home, continue in your universities, and continue in your job, and you can travel, and the police is not looking for you, and the government is not trying to put you in jail, and you are alive.
You are not expelled.
You are not expelled from the university. You are not living in a dictatorship. You are not living in the world system in the world. Actually, maybe it's just a perception, a different perception of freedom. If the people have the chance to think in this way and they say this system is not good, but they continue with their life every day, they are living in a free country, in a free union, and maybe that this kind of people need is to knowing more what is happening in another kind of country. I don't say that the European Union don't have or doesn't have problems. Maybe they have, and the people have right to criticize that. But no, it is necessary to compare what is happening in Nicaragua, for example, to what is happening in Venezuela, what is happening in Cuba, what is happening, for example, in Russia.
I know that the Russian regime is really a good friend of the Nicaragua regime.
Actually, Nicaragua is the only country in American continent to support Russia in United Nations for invasion. Yes. So it's a crazy regime. We have in Nicaragua no government. We have a crazy regime, dictator that are doing just crazy things. So in European Union, you don't have that. So it's okay, the freedom of speech, the freedom of thinking, the freedom of criticize, all of that is good, but try to compare a little bit what is happening in another country, and maybe they're going to understand that they are not living in a dictatorship, they are not living in the world system in the world, and I'm sure they are losing good opportunities because they are just focused on the bad thing and not on the good thing that the European Union are offering for all this, not just for this region, for the world. Actually, because the European Union is supporting the people like me, for example, the people like Ukrainian people who is suffering a lot now. So,
thank you for the answer, because I think it's very important to remind people that the right to express your idea and have the freedom to say what you thing in a responsible manner, it's so important, and you can find it only in democracies. Because if we go on dictatorships, we have that. You cannot offer assistance, medical assistance to protesters, because if you do that, you are against the system. And you will be expelled, and you will be persecuted, and you will be, and you will have to flee the country if you don't want to bear the consequences of just giving medical assistance to the persons they need. That need that, and that's very important to understand, because this was at the core of what well, the events that happened to you. Thank you so much for accepting our interview. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you good luck with your studies, and this time I think it's going to be with luck, and you will have the chance to finish them.
No, thank you for having me. I enjoyed a lot this interview, and I will share the message for the people that focus a little bit on what is happening in Latin America and what is happening in Nicaragua, because sometimes we can feel a little bit lost of the situation, what is happening around the world. Nicaragua, we have a dictatorship who is killing people, who is expelling people, not just from the university, also from the country, who is putting in jail. So in this way, if the people read a lot in the university, focus their attention on what is happening also in Nicaragua, we can find together the chance for supporting students who are trying now to get a new opportunity for the students. A new chance for their life in the end, because finishing their studies is so important for their own development, and losing this opportunity, and maybe for life for some of them, it's a very big problem. And that's why I was saying in the beginning, you have to bear in mind that finishing a university can be so important for you, and certain times is not about you're willing to finish it, but it can get in the middle other aspects, such as political, as we have seen in this case. So it's really an opportunity we have to treasure, and you have to treasure as students. We might get involved in certain situation in doing a humanitarian act, and because of the political system, to be in the situation that you have to flee the country. So expressing our opinion is good, supporting them is good, but we have to fight for our freedom, because the freedom is what gives us the opportunity to say something, to give medical assistance without being persecuted afterwards. So be mindful of that. Have a good day.